Welcome to SEPSA Talk. I am Evans Apia Kisi, the host of SEPSA Talk. SEPSA is Center for Better Society Advocacy and Research Africa. SEPSA Africa is a non-profit organization that believes in a better society for all. We in SEPSA Africa believe that a better society begins with you and I. For more information, please log on to www.sepsaafrica.org. Please follow us on the various social media platforms: YouTube, SEPSA Talk, Facebook at SEPSA Africa, Instagram, SEPSA Africa, and Twitter at SEPSA Africa. Like always, today we bring you another interesting discussion on the topic, Future of Ghana's Education Sector. On the 6th of June 2021, the Ghanaian Minister of Education held a press conference in Accra. In his address, he made known to the Ghanaian electorates and the journalists present on ways the government flagship program, the Free Senior High School, could be sustained. Additionally, he outlined many interventions the education sector in Ghana, especially the pre-tertiary school, is going to face. Among these are operationalization of 10 new STEM schools, creation of STEM pathways in existing schools, implement national standardized test for primary 4, 2, and 6, digitization of the education sector, including smart schools, establish a national skills development fund for TVET, establish open university, make science education to humanities ratio at 60 to 40 at the tertiary, scrap off the guarantor policy, among many other interventions. In this episode of SEPSA Talk, we critically appraise these interventions and their sustainability for future of Ghana's education sector. And to help us deal with this important topic are Mr. James Lambert Yinso. He is the founder of Labs Bookstore. He holds HND in Database Administration from IPMC in Ghana. He is also a Microsoft specialist and an Oracle expert. He is also a business objects expert in Agile methodology project management. He's also a personal development coach. I must say that it's a pleasure to host you. Welcome to SEPSA Talk, Mr. James Lambert Yunso. If you could respond.
Thank you, and thanks for having me.
Great, thank you very much. And our next guest is Mr. Kofinya Kondenis. He's currently the Assistant Registrar Student Records Office at the Akintin Apiaminka University of Skills Training and Entrepreneurship Development. It's formerly the University of Education Winneba Mampon campus. He holds a degree from the Cape Coast Technical University, and he also holds management qualification from the Paris Graduate School of Management. He also holds executive MBA in information technology. And I must say that it's a pleasure to host you. Welcome to SEPSA Talk, Mr. Kofinya Kondenis. If you could respond, and so that we know that.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Great. Gentlemen, thank you very much for making time with us here on SEPSA Talk. And like always, we are streaming live on Facebook. And so to our fellow SEPSarians, please don't forget to send in your questions and comments as we describe the future of Ghana's education sector. Please don't also forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you've not. If you go to YouTube, just type SEPSA Talk. There are a lot of videos that we have over there. Don't forget also to like and comment on our videos. So gentlemen, welcome once again to SEPSA Talk.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great. If you could speak a bit louder, both
Thank
of you, this would be great for us.
Okay. Thank you.
So I would like
Thank you.
Great. So I'd like to start with you, James, and then I would like also to ask Kofi to work on his network for us. So James, what's your impression of the free senior high school program so far? Just briefly, before we kickstart the conversation on the new reforms that has been outlined by the current Minister of Education. What's your view on the free senior high school policy so far? Briefly.
Yeah, briefly, I think since its inception, Ghanaians have embraced it, and the government is trying its possible best to make the implementation successful. And I believe having a vision for educating every child is a topmost priority in our country now. So, well, it's good. Briefly, the good side are more than the bad aspect of it, doing the implementation. So, yeah, I think it's a good thing.
Thank you very much. And rightly so, last week we had a wonderful discussion here where we also appraised the free senior high school moving forward. And for those of you who are interested, you could also check on that video. It was interesting. Kofi, what about you? Your impression so far? I mean, James says it's a good policy. I mean, once we aim to develop our human capital, then why not, despite some few challenges? What's your take? What's your impression on the free senior high school policy so far?
Forgive me, it's raining over here, so you may hear some sounds from the background.
Okay, that's fine.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so it's a laudable idea. It's a great idea, if and only if there's going to be that political commitment to it. To me, I'm all for it. When I took my time to listen to what the education minister was saying, this is like a total overhaul of our educational system. And so, as long as they are going to stay on course to make sure that whatever was said at the press conference was going to come into realization, hey, regardless of, my opinion about the government or anything, I'll just applaud the ministry and the government for coming up with an initiative like that.
All right. Thank you very much. And so let's go into the details of some of the things that the minister discussed when he met the press together with other well-meaning Ghanaians. And again, I'd like to start with you, James. Amongst some of the interventions, also as we read in the synopsis, is the issue of the fact that there's going to be a standardized test for primary 2, primary 4, and primary 6. What's your take on this standardized test? Is it needed at all? And what is it going to change?
Yes, for us who probably started the writing test, mostly inconsistency in testing. So if you have P2, P3, now you have P4, P5, different tests. So I think the standardized test will probably ensure that at least there's a level of thinking, there's a wideness thinking, that there's a common thinking within even the class P1, P2, and it will really help them at least with the P2, the P4. I think that there will be some common level of thinking, which is very critical and the development of the child. So I think it's good. The policy is good. So I wait for the implementation. Let's wait for them to start writing, and let's see how the results will be. Right.
Thank you very much. And so for you, pretty much it's a good thing because at least they would ensure some form of a standard and common level of thinking, which is also critical to the development of kids. And I like the fact that you also say we should wait to see how the implementation is going to be. But do you foresee any challenges already with such a standardized test? And if you could speak up a little bit, this would be good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that there will be some challenges, and mostly some of the challenges will be from the school leaders, teachers. Yes, because yes, we are reshape like the total overhaul of the educational system and the curriculums. Are we carrying the teachers along with it, the school leaders? So that's the most critical and the most challenging aspect of it. Probably in the cities that will be easier because the schools has already the systems that will help this standardized test run smoothly. But let's also think about those outside Accra, Kumasi, the remote areas. These school leaders empowered enough to even understand and ensure that they implement it. So I think that would be one of the key challenges.
Thank you very much and for that wonderful submission. So basically, there should be a critical look at schools in the rural areas, if I understood you very well. So because they might face challenges as far as the standardized test based on the kind of school leaders and teachers that they have. Kofi, what about you? What's your take on this standardized test? Do you foresee any usefulness in that? What is it going to change, and any challenges that we should pay attention to?
If I'm to go by what the education minister was saying, then it's going to really bring up basically every pupil or every student on board when it comes to literacy rates. Okay. Because if you are to look at our, he made mention of, what they call education poverty or something of that sort, that ours was very low, less than 50%. You see, so if you take a 10-year-old pupil, and then an average 10-year-old pupil, from the basic schools or from the public schools, you put something before him to access to read, it's going to be a problem. So now let me tell you something. Can you believe that we have university students who struggle with reading?
Interesting.
Yeah. We have university students. Oh yes, I'm telling you, I work in a university, so I know what I'm talking about. My office is such that it handles these students, the moment they come in and when they're about to graduate. For a fact, we have university students who have a problem identifying what their first name is, what their second name is, and what their last name is. University students. Yes, it's a major problem. I've been in the university system for close to 15 years. And I'm saying that on a fact because it's something I encounter on a daily basis. So if this is as a result of, let me say, students just being allowed to go through the system without any form of assessment to know where they stand in terms of their reading, where they stand in terms of their arithmetic, and where they stand in terms of their reasoning. So this standardized test, if you are to go by what the education minister is saying, then it's going to bring out the deficiencies in our educational system, the deficiencies that the children are encountering when it comes to them acquiring knowledge. So if it's going to be basic 2, okay, good. Basic 4, basic 6, then in each of these instances, then the teacher or the assessor can be able to tell where the child is falling short and then where they need to work on. That is great. Then again, the challenges that I'm anticipating is the fact that, in a way, we seem to be putting the cart before the horse. We already have the senior high school, the free SHS, which is already problematic, no matter how you look at it. All because how they were supposed to handle it was not how they did it. You bring in the students before you decided to bring in the necessary infrastructure and logistics that they need. I mean, who does that? It's been 4 years and we are still, struggling with these challenges. Now it has become overwhelming. We have to encounter the double track. Let me not go off topic. But so with a precedence like this, How well are the teachers equipped to handle, these students? Because now you have to take the teachers through another form of workshop, another form of training in order to be able to be abreast with this whole standardized thing, standardized test that you want to introduce. Let's not forget the fact that, about 2 years ago, there was a consensus or there was a meeting to sort of change the curriculum or the syllabus. What has come out of it?
Nothing.
From what I was listening, it looks like nothing really was mentioned concerning that, and now we are introducing this. So what happened to the curriculum changing or the syllabus changing that was held 2 years ago? And up to now, the teachers don't seem to have the textbooks based on those curriculum changing to teach the kids. So why are we doing this? Why haven't we finished with one before bringing in this one?
Okay.
So these are the challenges I'm anticipating. And what is the political commitment to it? How well are the teachers going to be motivated, in order to assess the children well?
Great. Thank you very much. That's also a great one there. So for you, these standardized tests is important because it would improve literacy rate in Ghana. And one key challenge you foresee is the fact that it might be difficult if we do not, equip or train teachers. But if you look at the main challenge that you pointed out, and also if you juxtapose it with what James said, that, well, maybe we should wait for the implementation, what would be your teachers to be abreast with the standardized test? What do you expect them to do so that the standardized test that we intend to do would be successful?
A lot of education is needed. A lot of education is needed because, many students are not able to reach their full potential due to teacher-student relationship.
True.
So many, you find that a child, just because is not able to read something well or is not able to understand the concept well, gets all kinds of offensive talk from the teacher. So in this case, these teachers have to be taken through the needed training to enable them understand that you're dealing with kids and kids have a way of thinking. Your ability to relate with them well is what is going to bring out, what a child can bring out, let's say in terms of understanding, in terms of able to know what the teacher is really talking about. So if that is not done, we should forget it. Because the education minister is going to sit in his office in Accra. The teacher in the village, how is he going to know that this is what is really happening there? Here's the case, you want to bring those in the village on par or at par with those in the urban areas. So until certain things are honed out or certain things are chiseled out, fine-tuned, we shouldn't expect much from it.
Thank you very much. I think these are wonderful submissions out there. I mean, ways with which we could address some of these anticipated challenges that might come with the implementation of these interventions. And like Kofi also said, we hope that these things are implemented and not just we need to walk the talk. We always have a lot of policies in books. Like he said, we wanted to change the curriculum last 4 years or so, and until now we don't know what happened to it. It's been abandoned totally. We hope that with these interventions they will be looked at. Now, James, I come back to you again. Kofi already talked about the free senior high school, which he didn't want to go there. This was good because we dealt with it extensively last week. But as part of those interventions, I have heard the minister say that, and it's actually being done, that some of the e-blocks, the one that was started by the previous administration, they intend to convert some of these e-blocks into boarding schools. I think there's been this debate going around whether we should. And I must say that perhaps doing this free senior high school, one of the ways would be not to pay for the boarding fees, so that we concentrate only on some form of day students and so it could reduce the financial burden that it comes with this free senior high school and the government. I don't know your take on the conversion of these e-blocks into boarding schools. You think it's something that it's helpful, and why? James, you think that the conversion of
okay.
I wanted to hear James first. James, if you could unmute your audio.
All right.
Great.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, I when personally I heard it, I was a bit skeptical because already the master plan which probably the previous administration had concerning our second cycle educational, like this the senior high, was to have a community school, like community school, which will be closer to the children to access. So hearing from this current government saying that they are converting them into boarding schools because of the overwhelming number of children coming in. That is a bit, it was very worrying to me, because we all know that even the advanced countries, boarding school has been one of their challenges. Most of them has community schools, which are day, and it's very efficient for parents to access and also pay fees. It's very cheap. I mean, just put it. It's very cheap. It's one of the cheapest forms of schooling, the day schools. For them, I think they are rushing through it, because you converting these e-blocks into boarding facilities for students to come in, and guess what? The number is going to increase. So how are you going to build more school boarding houses? That's a problem. And if you are going to board, if the government is going to board it, how much is committed to it? Already we have overstretched. The government is taking a huge sums of money to pay this for the free senior high. So I think there's going to be an issue. They need to look at it critically. And as Ghanaians, I think we must speak up. From GES have to talk about it, but because it looks like the free senior high is a political idea.
Okay, I think we probably might have. Okay.
GES and Ministry of Education can have a discussion on that. They need to stop the conversion of the and make it even board day schools. Day schools are better and very cheap, so that we can sustain it for the next 10, 20 years. The problem too is we can't sustain it. Ghanaians cannot.
Thank you very much. I totally agree with you. I mean, except to say that these schools are better, or this could be an argument we could, have. But I totally agree with you. So you are of the view that this is not the right way to go. The conversion of these e-blocks into boarding schools should be stopped because of the financial burden that they might place on the government. Because once you convert them into boarding schools, then you will have to pay for meals, electricity, and the likes, which is a problem already. Kofi, what's your take on it? Do you agree with James? You think we should stop the conversion of these e-blocks into boarding schools? And why? If the government can afford, why shouldn't we do boarding schools?
Yeah. Something now. As we are speaking now, funding for free SHS is becoming challenging.
True.
Just last week or so, the deputy finance minister designate, or I don't know if she had been confirmed, that the lady, I've forgotten her name. She came out to say that they have to borrow, government has to borrow to fund free SHS. That one right there is a huge question mark. Previously, we were made to understand that for funding of free SHS, they were going to use the oil money to do it. Now government has to borrow. What happened? So now you want to convert the e-blocks to boarding schools, some of the e-blocks to boarding schools. Look, if there is money for it, personally, I have no problem with it. But then, just like James was saying, what was the blueprint for setting up of the e-blocks? Now, before...
yeah, sure.
Can you
Go
hear
ahead.
me? Okay. Before this administration came in 2017, the previous government put it on record that about 47 e-blocks or so had been completed. And then there were others too at various stages of completion. Now, in all, about 123 E-blocks were to be built to accommodate, these students. Now, each E-block, it has been understood that it could contain about 1,000 students. Now, if you multiply the 1,000 by the 123, you're going to get about 123,000 students that could have been accommodated, whether boarding or day, but they were mainly community-based secondary schools.
True.
So if it has been left in that state, I don't think this double track that we are having would have taken place. If the 123 secondary schools were added to the already existing secondary schools, we shouldn't have the double track issue that we are having now, where students are now spending about 40 days in school and have to come and spend 3 months in the house. It doesn't make, excuse my language, educational sense. No matter how many contact hours that you want us to believe that the children are having, for them to spend 40 days, then it means, you are cramming. Look, we operate a sandwich, what is it? We have sandwich students coming in, and then it's a very pressurized kind of, schooling, if I'm to put it that way. Reason being that what their counterparts in the regular system have to learn in 4 months, they have to do it in about 1.5 months. So one can imagine, how the schedule is. And these are adults, and even that, the stress that they go through, how much more teenagers, or let's say young teenagers, that you have to put them under such condition, all in the name of a lot of contact hours. How much are they going to retain? Now, they come back to the house, spend 3 months in the house. Are you telling me that they are going to revise what they learned? I mean, 3 months is long enough for them to do whatever they want to do, because now mommy has to go to work, daddy has to go to work, the house is for them. TV is there. These days, a lot of houses have, Wi-Fi access and all of that. How many of them are really going to stick to their books? So if they want to convert it to boarding school, okay, tell us where you're going to get the money from. Because already your finance minister designate, or your finance ministry is saying that they have to borrow to fund free SHS. So where are you going to get the money from? They haven't told us how they're going to borrow or where they're going to borrow the money from. So if you are to leave it in that way and then complete it so that the communities in which they were set up in could have their wards attending those schools without them having to leave to go to different schools for them to be admitted, only for them to come back in the next 30 days or 40 days. Look, come on, let's be serious here.
And I mean, yeah, thank you very much. And I think
that's my take.
Yeah, thank you very much. Pretty much the same as what James said, but maybe just a follow-up. But what do you say if it appears Ghanaians are obsessed with sending their kids to boarding schools? So this perhaps is the reason why they want to convert some of these E-blocks into boarding schools, so that they feel that they could satisfy the majority of Ghanaians who want to send their kids to schools. And because also talking about this double track, we are made to understand that it's not every school that is rolling out the double track. It's a few schools, so-called the elite schools, that everyone wants to send his or her kids to school, to that school. So what would have been the alternative if people are obsessed with sending their kids to boarding schools, if not creating more boarding schools? Then what else could the government do? Kofi?
Still me. Oh, okay. Why don't you put a cap on it?
Okay.
Put a cap that, because now we have, let's say, granted that all the 123 E-blocks are completed. You can definitely put a cap on how much each school can take. Because I don't know about you, but being in a boarding school, I went to Infantipim, and at Infantipim, as an elite school as it was, we had challenges in the boarding house. It was too many of us in one room, all because everybody wants to bring their kids to Infantipim. You understand? So we also know that when there is some sort of an outbreak of infection, it's going to spread widely. When all kids, a lot of numbers are crammed in one place. So please put a cap. Maybe Infantry school can take about 1,000 students at a go, no more than that. St. Augustine's College can take what? Maybe, depending on the facilities that they have, maybe 1,000 students, no more than that, so that all students can be what? Spread across the length and breadth of the country where there are secondary schools, and make sure that what can be found in Infantipim can be found in that community-based school. The quality of teachers that can be found in Infantipim can be found in that same community-based school. So that there will be no shortfall when it comes to, yeah.
Go ahead. I just wanted to ask you whether is this realistic in the short term that the quality of teachers to be found in these so-called A schools should be found in the community-based schools, and the quality of infrastructure should be the same. Is this really
why not
realistic in the short term?
Why not?
Even medium term?
It should be. They are examining that. They are now licensing the teachers. So based on the exams that the teachers are writing, they should be able to assess. You are giving the license to these teachers. Okay. So if they are not qualified enough, why license them?
All right.
You understand? So you should be able to tell if only if they deserve the license that you're giving them, then they should be up to the task giving them.
Okay, interesting one there. So thank you very much so far, Kofi and James. And if you are just joining us, this is SEPSA Talk, and today we are looking at some of the reforms that have been outlined in the education sector of Ghana and want to see the future of Ghana's education. And I think that I agree with our guest here that one of the things we should quickly look at is the conversion of these e-blocks into boarding schools. I also agree it does not make educational sense. I mean, it's going to overburden the government financially. So we have one message here from AK Mensa says, excellent points on the conversion of day schools into boarding schools by James. I agree with him. All right, so let's still continue with the discussion. And my next question now to you, James, is also the introduction of these 10 STEM schools at the senior level, where we intend to train students in fields of engineering, computer science, robotics, and the likes. Well, what's your take on that? Is this sustainable, and is this something that can be achieved?
Yes, yeah. I think we are in the world of fast-growing technological world, and it's better we start our journey now. We are already late. We are behind. I have not traveled any outside Ghana, but I watch video and other documentaries about Singapore, their schooling system, Finland, which have one of the best educational system in the world. Sure. And they have totally transformed their educational system right from the junior level. So we are behind. Yes, so it's a good call. But the challenge here now is the implementation. Because personally, I went to technical school. I went to Boga Technical 2003 to 2006. Yes, okay. And we had very nice and beautiful and well-equipped workshops. I remember in Boga, some of the let's say the educational directors will bring their cars for the auto mechanics. They'll fix, the students there will fix, because they have the machinery, they have the detectors and other stuff to detect fault and repair them. But personally, in my blog, I did the building and construction. We had a lot, like a concrete mixture packed for the entire 3 years. They did not allow us to operate it. There were machines, yes, there were machines that we were supposed to, okay, let us study it and use it for our practicals. So that when we go and we learn the theory, we come to the field. These are the machines. They ask us to draw the machines, but the machines are there. It's for them to operate it for us to see and so to test it. So that by the time we leave school, the 3 years, we will have a way how to know even use a concrete mixture. But this is the case. It is not. They cover it up. It's still in the rubber as it was presented by then educational. I remember is the vice president, the late Aliu Mahama. He presented those items to us. And this is happening. There are computer labs in most of the senior high schools. We can go around and do a research. How many students even have access to it? and the computers are there. So the problem will be, one of the challenges will be the implementation. The plan is great, but the implementation, have you sat down to look into it? And initially I said about the leadership of the schools. They are key. They are key to all the plans or the strategies or the reforms they are bringing. They are very key. So if you separate them, we're going to have a problem. We're going to have a very nice plan on paper, but when you get to the schools, these things are not realized.
Interesting.
You ask people who maybe studied computer science, and where I schooled IPMC, you realize this India, MPMC is really a truly Indian company, like a school, and they teach the practical. But we have Legon students who are computer science students who comes to IPMC. I school at close to North Legon, that's around TF Hostel. So it's very close. You have students who study computer science and still comes to IPMC to learn about Excel, to learn about Access databasing, to learn about Oracle, to learn about SQL. And personally, I used to devote some of my free time to teaching these university students about database. So we have a problem. How can a whole university be teaching computer science and these students are not able to work with the tools of Microsoft efficiently? That's the problem. And now we are bringing the same thing to the senior high, and that's going to be a challenge. There are teachers in senior high who cannot even operate a laptop efficiently. They cannot.
So I was. Thank you very much. This is also passionate, man. I was actually going to ask you, what was the reason why the machine that you could not operate, that was covered? Is it that you didn't have any teacher who could start the machine, or what? Or what was the reason?
Personally, I didn't. We as students, we didn't approach the teachers by asking, and I think those times you are in school, you are even scared of your teacher. So, but I think there's no reason behind it. Probably the practical master does not even also know how to operate it, or he's scared. Oh, if I plug this machine and it goes for it get fault, the headmaster will have me blame. You get it? So
go ahead.
That is really the issue, because the machine, they were new. It's not that they were faulty. They were new. So we don't know. They never even use a concrete mixture. We also have to mix it with help and pan. We mix it, they carry it to the workshop, start building, and we never use a concrete block molding machine. Meanwhile, they were there, and I'm sure it's a long time there. But if we can devote some time, go through the various technical schools, we realize that there are some things there that they are just locked up and dusty.
I now understand why you keep stressing the point that we need to look at the quality of teachers and people there. I wasn't there, but I'm sure that they just didn't know how to operate these machines. This would be my guess, because I don't understand why the concrete mixer will be there, but still you would have to do it manually, and it's covered up or whatever it is. Anyway, that's interesting. But so in your view, before I go to Kofi, this is a good policy, but the implementation is going to be the problem. Apart from equipping the teachers, as Kofi also already said, to be able to understand the use of these equipment that would be, sent to these 10 STEM schools, what else do you think should be done so that the technical and vocational education and training that we intend to expand or do or build anew could be successful? Because with these revelations, it appears if we are not careful, we might go back to square zero.
Yes. My brother Dennis initially spoke about the curriculum changing. I think that should be the basis. If it haven't not been changed and implemented well, it has to, because all of them are interrelated. This policy they are bringing, or this curriculum they are bringing, and the curriculum should be integrated. So I think that's one area, so that at least the student or the children can know that this thing is not just probably an add-on of subject or something, but it's formulated in the curriculum. Yes.
Thank you very much. And I come to you, Kofi, as well. Same question. What's your take on the 10 STEM schools that we want to build in order to expand our technical and vocational education and training, that's TVET in Ghana? Having heard from James also, who gave us some practical insights into that. What's your take, and any challenges that we should anticipate, and the way to deal with such challenges?
Well, again, I must say that it's also a laudable idea. I fully support that. And listening to the education minister talking about this, he was saying that there was going to be all these schools, these 10 schools are going to have 12 laboratories. Each of them are going to have 12 laboratories. The biology teacher is going to have, the students that will be coming to them, the teachers, not rather the teachers going to the students. So let me say, if I'm the teacher, I'll be here, and then this is where I'll be based, and then I'll have the students coming. So there's going to ensure discipline in that sense, because if you come to basically my territory, you're going to do what I tell you to do. So again, let's be realistic here. Let's be realistic. 12 laboratories, each for the 10 schools. Are we really going to do that? Is there going to be a political commitment to it? I hope you understand what I'm saying.
I do.
We shouldn't forget that we've had presidents. We have presidents of all these juicy talk being said or being told us, only for it to be abandoned. So what I'm suggesting is that the moment that they roll this out, they should have some legislature to back it, so that it will become fortified. So that if there to be a change in government, that government cannot deviate from what has been instituted. As it stands now, should the NDC have won the 2020 election, there's going to be a whole review of the free SHS.
True.
And probably it could be to the point where it will be close to being abandoned, looking at the nature of it. All because there is no legislature, as far as I'm concerned. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is there any legislature from Parliament that they have voted to institute the free SHS, so that any government that comes has no option but to continue from where the previous one left off? You understand? So based on that, the 10, what is it? Is it science, technology,
engineering, mathematics,
electronics, or what? And then what? Mathematics.
Yeah.
Engineering and mathematics. Yes, that is the STEM. Based on this, it's going to be a nice concept. I believe if my sons are old enough, I can possibly enroll them there and not send them somewhere else to acquire that kind of education. But then again, where is the political commitment? This government, the MPP is known to bring nice policies. Hey, during the time of Kufuor, they brought in one national health insurance scheme and other stuff. But as we speak now, the NHIS is struggling to be afloat, or because the funding that is supposed to go there to sustain it is not going. So how well are we sure that what the education minister proposed is going to be is going to have the needed political will or the needed political commitment to it? That is my take. I don't have a problem with what he said. My whole thing is that, are we really going to put in the necessary commitment to make it work? Because if it works, it's going to work for all of us. He again mentioned the fact that, hey, if you take Vietnam, for instance, Vietnam is able to churn out how many engineers a year? 100,000 engineers a year. though their population is about 3 times ours. If we are to China based on what the ratio, we should be able to produce about at least 20,000 or 25,000 engineers, but we are producing 6,000 or a little over 6,000 engineers a year. So based on this, how do we compete with the rest of the world? And even our engineers, once they go out there, like my brother was saying, we have computer scientists, but then they are very, very deficient when it comes to the use of Microsoft tools. So what's the quality of the teaching that is going on there?
Interesting.
You understand what I'm saying? So now we China these 6,000 engineers, are they well-equipped engineers? Or they still need a lot of what, training? It's a good thing they learn the science. Huh?
You think it's
a good thing that they learn the sciences? Yeah. It's a good thing that we start, with all this robotics. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right. So thank you very much, Kofi. I guess your bandwidth is a bit low, but we'll still manage with that. Brilliant submission out there, but I just wanted to get your thoughts that the STEM, the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics that's being introduced at the senior high level. We'll come to that of the tertiary level, even though James and yourself, you've already delved into it. You think it's something that should be started at that early stage? Do we have the capacity to be able to train students at that stage, at that senior high level with this engineering, robotics, and the likes, for them to be able to be useful to the society? Imagine they do not continue. You think it's good that we are starting at that level?
Should I answer, James?
Yeah, sure. It's you, Kofi.
Oh, okay. Oh, why not? Why not? Personally, I would even say that we should come to the lower levels. In all these, what is it, the standardized tests and all that, this is how I'm looking at it. The children should be exposed to quite a lot. Those who are good at reading, they should be reading, and then comprehension. We should separate them from those who are really good with their hands. And then those who are, let's say, sports inclined, and we should be able to give them various opportunities or options to explore, and then see and able to assess where a child is really interested in, or is very passionate about, and then start that from there. So if, let's say, the child is more science and then technology inclined, then we start building the child from there. So all that they know is that I'm a science student, I'm a technology student, and then you see what they'll be able to achieve in the next 5 to 10 years. Let me go a little bit off topic on this. Take Jamaica, for instance. Jamaica is very good when it comes to athletics. All because by the time a child is about 5 years, they have, competition for children who are 5 years. So is there any wonder that you have them breaking world records? The likes of Usain Bolt and then Asafa Powell and the like. Is there any surprising thing that they're able to break records? You understand that, hey, you're running for life. So you who started running, let's say, in your teens or late teens, you cannot compare yourself to someone who's been doing it pretty much his whole life. Mentally speaking, he's there. So it's the same thing that if we start with a child, let's say from the age of 12, this is what they do. You separate them and then you hone out what they're able to do, their ability to understand and comprehend electrical and then technological things. By the time they get to 20 years of age, oh, they are designing, able to assemble, able to design, able to start something from the start. They've been exposed to something technological. But all the same, maybe it requires a lot of funding, and that depends on our dedication towards becoming technologically inclined. But if it's starting at the secondary school level, to me, it's still not late. But then again, are we going to devote the necessary commitment to it? That is my thing. That is my position.
Thank you very much. And so pretty much just like James, you're also in support of these STEM education at the senior high level. But what is critical is the fact that there should be a legislature, as you said, to back this kind of innovation so that they become institutionalized, so that they are not abandoned. Because if I understood you correctly, the idea of building 12 laboratories in each of these schools would amount to about 120 laboratories. Exactly. And we are sure that this will not be completed in the next 4 years.
Exactly.
There should be a legislature to be able to institutionalize this so that whoever comes into power is required to continue building some of these things. Then I would like to ask you, later I would come to the TVET and the STEM that's also going to be introduced in the tertiary level. Maybe we should do that before I come to my last question. And I thought it has already been spoken to, but James, you already mentioned that it's a pity some students from universities come to IPMC and usually they're not able to find their way out with computer softwares and the likes. Kofi even added the fact that some of them do not even know a lot about these Microsoft offices. And what can be done to be able to address some of these challenges? Yes, there's a reform that seeks to integrate the STEM and then the TVET together at the tertiary level in order to improve innovation. What's your take on it? I'm sure it's a brilliant one, but what are some of the challenges you foresee again, and what's the way forward? James, if you could unmute your audio.
Yeah, hello, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, so I think my brother Dennis has really spoken a lot on it about the have to be back with legislator, because that is the key. Because it looks like now we running Ghana or our country with political plans and policies.
True.
And that is not really good, because if it happens, the political comes to power and they decide to start this free senior high, that it's really going to be a mess. It's really going to be a mess. So I agree with him on that. So with the plans of you, the question you asked about we teaching the children on the tech, that is the technological knowledge, it's good they have it. I have a friend who has about a 9-year-old boy who is brilliant. Technologically, he's very brilliant. 9-year-old boy. I'm not sure he has even been to the airport and seen an airplane, but this guy knows the speed. Yeah, through YouTube, this guy knows the speed. Actually, the plane takes off, the landing speed, and anytime I go to their house, he's been bothering me with this toy plane, and he's saying a lot, the pilot, and he's very good with it. So I told my friend that, this child, at least we have find something. We just have to educate him in a line through his purpose. Then we can capitalize on him for as an engineer, or even a field of, if not a pilot, anything that would have to do with planes. So I think from that critical age is very important, because that's where the brain formation takes place. Some of us, we are very good with sketch and drawings, but we didn't pay much. Our curriculum of those times, the school system does not pay much to us. So if you are very good with drawing and sketches, and even you fail your English and math, you are left behind totally. We are not really educating children based on their inborn strengths.
True.
Yes, and that is a problem. So I think most of them will talk. The policies are great. If you read it, it's very nice. But the implementation, that is the challenge I always have. Today, this morning, when I was coming to work, they are doing some street gutters, not a main road, street gutters in my hood. And they are this normal concrete that they are doing gutters. And I found an Indian standing by supervising. And I was like, look, just look at this. This is not a main road that probably is sophisticated, that we need a special skill of engineering or something. But this is the case. We have Indians standing by doing the main thing. brain. So so let's just start them early. Let's hit the ground running. It's very important, and we should all support it and also encourage government to make sure this policy works on that.
All right. Thank you very much. I think it's the same thing, reiterating what Kofi also said, mainly looking at it from the legislature point of view. So I'll come to you guys and ask you my very last question because of time, but AK Mensah has some interventions. He would like to share some views. And so if you're on the line, AK Mensah, can you hear me?
Yes, please, I can hear you.
Yes, so go ahead with your submission.
Thank you so much. These are brilliant suggestions and submissions being poured out there. And we wish that policymakers in education could listen and they could really take most of the suggestions being poured out here by I put it normal Ghanaians who mean well for the people. You know, Ghana is for us, and it is our ideas and it's our suggestions that should count.
True.
Okay, because look, if you want Ghana to develop, we should just go to the market women. We should go to the sweeper. Okay, the sweeper matters. The cleaner matters.
Right.
Okay, ask them what they think about the free SHS. Ask them what they think the education sector should go. Look, I had always argued that there shouldn't be something like ordinary Ghanaian. A Ghanaian is a Ghanaian. There shouldn't be ordinary, because an ordinary Ghanaian cannot vote for someone to become extraordinary. Okay, but these are just the foundation for my submission. But let me come to the substantive point. Education should form the bedrock of transforming a nation. I had always argued that a nation's greatest resource is not the abundance of gold, neither is it abundance of diamond, neither is it abundance of timber, but it's human capital. If you don't get the human capital right, you are doomed. You are doomed. That is why we need to indoctrinate the human capital, especially right from the childhood. When you read the good book says that train up a child, and when the child grows, he will not depart from it.
At times, if you could just
yes, please. Thank you so much. So you know, the best people to really teach them about technology are children.
Okay.
Look, children, robotics. Children love to play with toys. Okay, you see, you teach them about it. Look, education should unearth talent. Education should not kill talent. It should unearth talent. There are children who can fight. Unearth this talent and train them to become professional boxers. Okay, there are children who are very good at athletics. Okay, in Ghana, when a child goes to play football, the parent catches the child, and then they beat the child because they say the child is not learning. Okay, so in the nutshell, let our education unearth talent for the benefit of the child and for the benefit of the nation at large. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much for your input out there. So I have one more message from Russ. Citizen actually says good point out there. So, gentlemen, my very last question. There's also this idea to introduce Open University. I'll start with you, Kofi. I mean, because you've worked with the university for 15 years, as you said, and you talked about sandwich program and the likes. And I know that this Open University is more of entering into the university without any requirement, or also a form of distance learning. Is this the way? What's your take on this idea of introducing more Open Universities in Ghana? What's your take on it generally? And again, what are some of the challenges we should anticipate and the way forward?
There's nothing wrong, absolutely, with opening more open universities. According to the minister, he put it this way in account that Obian Kechi, nobody is left behind. So in this case, it doesn't matter how old you are. If you want to acquire some level of education, let's say at a higher level, yes, there's a chance for you to do so. At the moment, the various universities have some sort of programs that enables people who are at least 25 years old to have access to a degree course. We call it the mature applicants or the mature entrants. But then you should have some sort of certificates to enable you to be admitted into the mature program.
All right.
So in a way, it is actually being done, but from what the minister is saying, then we're going to have it in a more organized manner, or let's say in a more open manner, where people won't feel so restricted. And I guess it's going to be in a good way, because we have a lot of these artisans who can do the work well, but when it comes to organizational structure, they are lacking. You know, take for instance, all of us, most of us, if you want to have someone to build our houses for us, we are not going to go in for that degree holder or that architect or that civil engineer. We're going to go for that mason that everybody is recommending that is good. The houses that we live in. Those who fix our cars, they are not the mechanical engineers from the universities or anything. They are these JHS or JSS leavers who have learned the skill somehow. They are good at what they do. True. But when it comes to, let's say, organization, finishing, and doing things on time and all of that, they lack in that department. So let's say this is where higher learning can come in and then straighten out these edges, fine tune them, for them to know that, hey, this business that I'm in, I have to prepare this, I have to prepare that, so that I'll know how I'm doing it. They have everything in memory, very good. But then it's not everything you're going to remember at a particular time. And also, those who felt that for some reason they were not able to continue their education and then they were left behind, hey, this is the chance for you to come in. If you can be 50 years old and then you still can come in and then get a degree, it doesn't matter. You can even be over 60. There was one person that I know who got his university degree after the age of 60. He just wanted to be in school. And you see, to me, I don't see anything wrong with that. Let us encourage people to do that, if only they have the desire to do so.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Kofi, maybe just a quick follow up. So are you suggesting then that the Open University should be limited to people of certain age, right? People who have already, had some life or had some training in other areas, but lack organizational skills and managerial skills to be admitted into this Open University? Because like you said, this is something already being done by some of the traditional universities, but this time around, we want to make it more open as an Open University. Would that be your suggestion, or still people from senior high school should also be admitted straight into such Open Universities?
Yeah. So, hello?
Oh, no. For instance, now,
No, go ahead, Kofi. Actually, it was a follow-up question to Kofi, but your network was, because your bandwidth was a bit low. But so go ahead, Kofi, and answer the question.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
The network.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, my network was bad. There's no problem. But you see, right now, we are churning out so many SS. We are churning out so many SS graduates. So there will be no excuse for someone to say that. We are churning out so many graduates from the secondary schools or senior high school.
All right. I think if you're just joining us again, we're just about to wrap up today's edition of CEPSA Talk. And today we are looking at some reforms that have been introduced into Ghana's education sector and the way forward. My guests have been James and Kofi, and we are really at the last end where we ask the question whether the issue of introducing this Open University is actually the way forward, and how is that going to impact on Ghana's education. So James, maybe your take, and then later I come to Kofi to conclude for us. What's your take on the Open University that we intend to introduce or make more open this time around?
Yeah, okay. I think it's very laudable. It's a good thing that, like Dennis said earlier, they are smart guys who are mathematicians, but they don't have any formal certificate. My friend's father, I think Form 4, and the man is very smart, very analytical. Actually, he taught my his son, who is a university degree, he's now in Germany, how to even do forex trading. And this man has no university background or higher level education, no, nothing. But he's very analytical, can study the market, he knows the market and where to push and where to turn it off. So if you open up this, these people will have a great opportunity at least to experience the organizational skills, maybe push structure and system on whatever they already know. These people can even channel them into entrepreneurship. For some of them, because of lack of information, they are scared and afraid to even start something. Because they are 50, so they realize, okay, let me just stay and just start with the ideas. And if they even get to the university, there should be a system that can even collect knowledge from these people. Because these people are in the real world. They are in just the real world doing the good thing. I'm reading the book that I read. I think I recommended that to Eric. Eric, I got to tell me, but I think I have a copy here. Yes, Lingua and You, Educational Legacy. Yes, so it's serious. This is serious. It's a very small book, but this contains the brain behind Singapore educational system. Wow. For the man behind his Lingua, you all know who he has really turned affairs, third world country to affairs. He did that through education. He did that through education. So I think it's laudable. It will help.
All right.
Let's push it.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I come to you, Kofi, and then you conclude on that for us. I asked the question whether you feel age should be a decisive factor in admitting people into these open universities because of the tangent in which you gave your submission. Hello, Kofi.
Oh, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. It's better.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay. There shouldn't be any barrier whatsoever. As long as people have the desire to continue with their education, let them have the chance. In the long run, the country stands to benefit from people who choose benefits. So there shouldn't be any barrier. If there's going to be, for instance, my students, a lot of them are having a challenge when it comes to paying. There's going to be a way that people who so desire to have a higher learning opportunity have some sort of government funding or maybe lowering their fees to the extent to be more attractive.
Okay.
The acquisition of knowledge is one thing. Funding that acquisition of that knowledge was another thing. That is a serious barrier. You know, it will surprise you that government institutions, they are paying for a year. Let's say for the humanities, for instance, humanities programs is about 1,500 and something or so. But a lot of students are struggling to pay that for a year. 1,500. You know, to someone like me might not be much, but to somebody coming from a different place, a different background, that is a lot of money to part with. And so there are so many who desire to get that kind of education, but because of financial constraints, they have to shelve it. So if government is to say, oh, okay, maybe I'm taking a certain part of the fees, the rest you can bear it, or let's say all those about at a certain age, or all those who go through this program are going to have their fees absorbed by the government, then that is fine. But then again, we should take our time and then see how best we can implement this program before it also becomes an albatross on our necks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I must say it's been a wonderful discussion. Unfortunately, our time is up. And if you are just joining us, this is SEPSA Talk. Today we looked at the various educational reforms that have been introduced as explained by the Educational Minister on 6th of June when he met the press, and we've delved deep into it. We've given a lot of potential challenges that we are likely to face with these challenges, as well as some solutions that have been given by our guest here. Don't forget, we would upload this video on our YouTube channel, and so please go there, watch the full video. If you've not subscribed yet, please subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Like, comment, and send in your questions, and we would definitely answer them for you. All right, so thank you very much, James and Kofi, for making time with us. Thank you, Eke Mensah and Edmond, also for being at the back producing the show. I am Evan Sapia Ikisi. Thank you, our fellow Sepsarians, and those of you who liked and watched. We are grateful to you. The Zalfa time will allow us. Thank you. I'm Evan Sapia Ikisi. Catch you next week as we bring you another interesting discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.